coming back with a topic that will help moms guide the young adults in the family. Today, a candid conversation about marriage, millennials, and intimacy. So here's your chance to send little ears, to send kids out of the room if you would like to. We're sharing ways to help adults, young adults, prepare for marriage and a healthy sex life. Joining me is Brotherson, a marriage and family therapist and licensed sex therapist as well. You always handle these topics with such respect and sensitivity. And this is a big one that I know you're passionate about. It's this no to go, right? A lot of value-based teenagers, young adults, they put off sex until after marriage, and then once that happens, you find that they sometimes struggle with that transition.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got kids in this stage, so it's very personal for me. But yeah, there's a lot of just people are not prepared for a healthy sexual relationship in marriage, and they can be so much better prepared, and that's why we get to talk about this today.
Step one, you say, is to get educated.
Yeah.
And this applies to not only the couples themselves, the engaged couples, but to parents too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of what these books are for, directly as the parents.
You've written the book on it.
Yeah, I've written 2 books on it, but for these young adults, they do need to read these books. It isn't really something I prefer that they wait until after marriage to read, because you've got to have some of this information so that as a sex therapist, you're not coming to me in 15 years because we had a really bad horror honeymoon story. So we've got to get some education ahead of time.
You say despite, their level of education, wherever that may fall on the scale, every young adult comes to marriage with their own beliefs and their own feelings about sex. That can be a good thing, or that can sometimes get in the way.
Yeah, so that's kind of our number 2 item, is to identify and overcome inhibiting thoughts, beliefs, feelings, attitudes, past experiences.
Can you give us some specific examples of those?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got 2 clients who were both violated by a boyfriend in high school, and we're paying for that now, 15 years into marriage. We've got very few people other than you, kind of, that are willing to have people talk about this, and so there's just kind of this negative taboo, and that conditions our young adults to come into marriage, and they're not super confident and comfortable with the topic.
And the no-to-go effect that we kind of set this conversation up with, that really comes into play as well. Do you find that some of your young female clients even feel ashamed about this step, even though it's natural and healthy and good?
Yeah, I mean, if the only conversation you've ever had with anyone is your parents asking you the night before you get married if you have any questions, or dropping a book on your bed and then never talking about it again, that sends a message that really doesn't help.
So those conversations need to be open. The dialogue needs to be a little more comfortable, which it sounds crazy because I know parents are thinking, how could this even be comfortable? Yes. You provide some great verbiage in your books to help parents open up those dialogues. Laura, what conversations should the couples themselves be having, partner to partner?
Yeah, I mean, that's number 3, about we've got to be able to talk about sex. We've got to be able to make it a comfortable topic. If you're not comfortable with sex, think about it, you're going to have a hard time having a comfortable sexual relationship in marriage. And, kind of leading into the next one too, I think one of the things that I would love for young adults to get really good at doing is setting up kind of this, discussing their expectations for specifically the honeymoon. Let's just start with honeymoon, because it's too big of a project for most people that are going to be watching this. Let's just walk through what's kind of my ideal honeymoon experience. Write it out separately, share it even just through email, because those are 2 very different expectations. If there isn't some conversation, that's a major crash waiting to happen, potentially. And so let's just have a little bit of conversation, because we also need to be talking about it.
Okay, but to play devil's advocate, without experience, right, or maybe a developed intimate relationship prior to the union of marriage, can they really know what to expect or what to even write down on this homework assignment?
Yeah, but think about even this. If the guy writes down, I just imagine us walking into the room and ripping off each other's clothes and going for it, and then she writes down, I am going to be so exhausted and so I'm still nervous, I'm a little bit anxiety already. Is there any chance we could wait till tomorrow? There's a big issue right there that could be resolved that doesn't get resolved.
Gotcha. You see a lot of couples, more couples coming to for premarital counseling. I think that's still a new concept for a lot of people. What does that entail, and is that something you recommend for each and every couple?
Well, I mean, I personally think every couple can benefit from counseling, just because, there's stuff you can learn. But these young adults, it's just great to come in and kind of just have an opportunity to talk through some things. So it's one thing like to go to a class or to read a book, but nobody is really making you talk about it. Whereas if you go into counseling, I'm going to be asking questions and creating a safe dialogue for you to have some of these actual conversations about what are we expecting, and a lot of these important topics that just, you know, finances, sex, household duties, I mean, all of these things, family and roles, and that's important conversation if people can do that ahead of time.
Your book, as we mentioned, a great resource. You also have a website where people can go for more information.
StrengtheningMarriage.com. Yeah, knowing her intimately. A lot of these things we've talked about, I've got homework exercises that people can walk through.
All right, Laura, important topic. Thank you so much.
Yep.